Hey everyone, so on today's show, we're talking about sidekicks, but we're not talking about sidekicks fighting crime or saving the day. We're talking about when sidekicks die. Alright, numero uno on the list of the super famous sidekicks who died is Bucky Barnes.
Captain America's child sidekick. Incredibly inappropriate having that 15-year-old there fighting battles.
Hey, it was World War II. We needed all the good men we could get.
He was just supposed to be the mascot.
Well, you know what? He was actually a highly trained operative, but we didn't do that until the 2000s. Back in the 40s, he was just fighting against the Red Skull with Captain America. But sadly, it didn't go so well for Bucky. He tried to stop Baron Zemo's evil drone and basically couldn't defuse a bomb and kind of died.
He was 15. What do you expect? But one of the interesting things about the death of Bucky Barnes is that it wasn't something that played out regularly in the comics. It wasn't something that you saw happen as it happened. In Avengers number 4, they had found Captain America in the chunk of ice.
Yes.
And they actually do flashbacks where you see what happened to Cap and you see the death of Bucky Barnes.
Yeah. Bucky's like, I can't do it, Cap! And Cap's falling and he's like, no, Bucky! Explosion. He's like, oh, what a great lad. I'll never see him again. And then he starts like drowning. And then, of course, he wakes up in a pack of ice later. And Bucky's been dead now for like a long time.
Yeah.
Bucky has been a dead-ass superhero for a long time.
Now, one of the really interesting things about Bucky's death is that it was really pivotal and something, you know, that in comics, people that die come back. But Bucky and Jason Todd and Uncle Ben, those are ones that fell under the Bucky clause.
Yes.
This meant that they were never coming back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which was true until the 2000s.
Yeah, and then they all came back. You know why those damn Gen Xers came up and they're like, we're gonna do whatever the hell we want. So everyone thought Bucky was dead, full real, forever. But a young man in America named Ed Brubaker, he had a dream. He said, someday, if I write for comic books, I will bring Bucky back. Well, years later, Ed Brubaker, he got his wish. He started working for Marvel, he started writing for Captain America, and thus, Bucky came back in the form of the Winter Soldier!
That's right, kids, you can make your dreams come true too!
Exactly. Basically, we get the Winter Soldier, he's coming back, he's got amnesia, he's got a bionic arm. He's a badass, he's kind of a terrorist, and, basically Captain America has to fight him. You've all seen the new movie, and after he redeems himself, he actually ends up being Captain America for a while in the comics after Captain America died.
So next up is one that we actually experienced very recently on one of our favorite shows, Lost Girl on Sci-Fi, and it was the death of Kenzie. Now, we've seen different characters die throughout the show, but Kenzie has been there from the beginning, and she is Bo's official sidekick.
This is it, Kenz. Stay close. Maybe not that close. Sorry.
She even calls herself a sidekick.
Come on, every superhero needs a partner. Let me be your Robin.
She totally saved the day. She totally sacrificed herself. It was like Buffy at the end of season 5. Most likely she'll return very early in the next season.
Yeah, I mean, she did have a plan, but, plans never go the way they're supposed to.
Cassie, for the assist! Yes! Do you like that part? Where I pretended to fall on my ass when actually I was like a stealth missile lasering in on target?
Up next is actually 2 different characters, but since they both had the same superhero name, we're combining them. That is, of course, the Robins. 2 Robins dead. First off, Jason Todd, 1989, Batman: A Death in the Family. It was actually up to a vote for fans. They had to call in and say whether they wanted Jason Todd dead or not, and by a very slim margin, under 1,000, it was decided he would die. And of course, basically what happened was the Joker, beat him almost to death with a crowbar, and then blew him up in a damn factory.
Yeah, it was brutal. But the best part about this death is what happened afterwards. And I don't mean in the comics, I mean outside in the real world.
Totally.
People found out that Robin was dead, and they freaked out.
Because they thought it was Dick Grayson.
Yeah, they were so upset. They were calling up, they were writing letters, how could you kill Dick Grayson? And the people at DC are all like, what the heck? We didn't kill Dick Grayson. We killed Jason Todd. But all these people, they hadn't been reading the comics.
Yes.
They probably hadn't picked up a comic book in like a decade.
We said, oh, don't worry. We killed the criminal one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Robin that met Batman by trying to steal the wheels off the Batmobile.
Who does that?
Don't worry. We can just kill that one off. You know, the one who smokes.
Yeah, the one you hate anyway.
Either way, though, it's okay. He died, and he was gone for 15 years, anime. but he later came back as the Red Hood, as a badass. So, in the end of the day, even Jason Todd comes back.
Kind of funny, though. It's sort of very similar to Bucky's story, the way he comes back, the way he's resurrected in, like, the Lazarus pit, and he's all memory lost, and
it's very much
kind of psycho, and
they're very much the same story.
Thanks, Ra's and Talia al Ghul.
Speaking of Ra's and Talia al Ghul, there is, of course, Damian Wayne. Now, this is a character invented by Grant Morrison. He is the child of Talia al Ghul and Batman. He was sort of messed with in the embryonic stage, and then grown in an artificial womb, and then taught by the League of Assassins to be a badass, and then dropped on Batman's doorstep.
Your son.
Son.
Yeah.
Actually, so that they'd mess with Batman's life. It was actually part of their plan.
Yeah, they drop off this psycho 10-year-old. You first meet him and he's decapitating someone. Granted, it's a bad guy, but still.
He kills a lot of people. He tries to kill Tim Drake over and over again because he doesn't want him to be Robin. There can only be one Robin.
Yeah.
He actually got killed by accelerated age clone of himself sent by his mom, Talia. Damian, though dead, Batman, though sad face, he has been coming back as clones. Even saw a clone version of him that was spliced with Aquaman DNA.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Who knows what other Justice League members he'll be spliced with next. And somehow Tim Drake is still alive despite all of the times Damian tried to kill him.
Yeah.
So next up is one from the anime universe, from Dragon Ball Z. We're talking about Krillin. Krillin's awesome. He's the strongest human around, but he's still psychic.
Totally. So basically in Dragon Ball, they were at the Tenkaichi tournament.
I forgot about my grandpa's Dragon Ball and my power pole. I left them both back at the stadium. I'll be right back.
No, stay here and have fun. I'll go get him for you. I'll be right back.
Okay.
And then one of King Piccolo's dudes showed up to try to find Goku's Dragon Ball and just like straight up snuffed Krillin.
Yeah, one of like
Killed
the
him.
most unceremonious deaths ever. It would suck.
And then they walk into the dark room and his damn body is on the floor.
Yeah.
It should have been me. Please don't go.
But luckily they have Dragon Balls and they get him and they bring him back and he's all good. And then he's like, you know what? I want to go and do some space travel. And then they go to planet Namek and then Frieza's there. And they're like, don't worry, Goku's here. And then in the middle of the fight, Frieza straight up kills Krillin again.
But the great thing is, it's Namek and there's more Dragon Balls. Woohoo!
And there's another great thing because of the grief of this death, Goku finally becomes
Super Saiyan, aka really blonde.
Yes, and he's got kind of nice green eyes too.
A little more powerful.
Yeah,
a lot more powerful.
A lot more, yeah, exactly. Now, luckily, because they had different Dragon Balls in Namek, he got brought back again. So now Homeboy's died twice. Mr. Krillin actually dies one more time via Majin Buu.
Back on Earth.
But, you know what? There's always a loophole. There was another set of Dragon Balls, so he got brought back. He had sex with a hot android. He had a baby. He grew hair. He died 3 times. One more time than Goku.
And for those of you who count Dragon Ball GT, he actually died a 4th time.
Krillin, you can't die.
Well, we got someone who's died even more. I am talking about Rory Williams from Doctor Who. Now, granted, most of these deaths have been negated because the world has been changed and the realities have been changed.
There's this one time he fell into the crack of the universe and basically never existed, but then was like brought back by the Big Bang when the TARDIS exploded, and then he was a plastic guy, and then he lived for like 1,000 years, and then he just became mortal again.
Yeah.
And so overall, there's like 5 times he ended up dying.
Yeah, and the final time he died with Amy, they were sent back in time.
That's our list of some of the most interesting sidekick deaths.
Yeehaw! That's it, buckaroo. Ride 'em, cowboy.
If you want to listen to our radio show, we're on every week on Indie 100 and The Point.
And if you want to get in touch with us, you can send us an email to geekworldradio@yahoo.com, and be sure to check out our website, geekworldradio.com. And remember, guys, you can't keep a good sidekick down.
Bye!